All right, what is up, everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're going to be talking about NBA trade season. It is past the December 15th deadline, which is the day where all free agents can now be traded, which means NBA trade season has kind of officially started. We already got some deals going, but I'm going to talk more about the potential deals that could happen, players that could be traded, teams that could be moving, making moves, selling, all this stuff going down here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. Links to my Twitters, all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So we're going to be talking about a couple of different things, different teams, players, all the stuff that could be moved. I want to start with the Brooklyn Nets. I feel like I made a short about this. I've said it when the Nets do come up sometimes. The Nets are, I feel like, the team to watch at the deadline in terms of teams that are selling. The Nets have so many different players that could be moved, could be on potential playoff teams, could be difference makers at this trade deadline. The Nets are the team to watch. They start off the year pretty good. Right now, they're 10-15. They're currently a playing team in the Eastern Conference. They already made their move, one big move, sending away Dennis Schroeder to the Warriors for D'Anthony Melton and a couple second-round picks. I talked that trade, I like it for the Warriors. They didn't really have to give up much to get Dennis Schroeder, who's having a great season. He's been like the backbone of this Brooklyn Nets team this season. One of the reasons they've been so competitive is because Dennis Schroeder has been big, and the Nets have a lot more to do. I mean, I feel like the Nets potentially could have gotten a first round pick for Dennis Schroeder, but maybe they just like the deal so much they're like, you know what, we'll just send him out. We'll get a couple second round picks back. D'Anthony Melton also is a salary filler, so maybe in case they do want to make another trade, they can attach D'Anthony Melton's salary onto something else, maybe to make something work. I don't know. I'm just talking right now. But the Nets still have so many other things to make, or moves to make. Cam Johnson, I feel like, is one of the top guys to watch this year's trade deadline. Could be maybe potentially one of the top movers of the trade deadline is Cam Johnson. He's been having a career season this year. Give you about 18.5 points per game, shooting 43% from three. He's just a playoff wing that any team would love to have. A guy that he knows his role. He's going to space the floor very well, shoot the three ball very well, defend at a solid level, big wing. That's also been on multiple playoff teams before, that knows how this kind of goes. And yeah, Cam Johnson, I feel like, is one of the bigger names to the deadline. Teams like the Warriors, who potentially could have acquired Cam Johnson in that trade, but they didn't want to give Jonathan Kuminga. You have that. The Lakers potentially could be an offer. A lot of teams could be in on Cam Johnson. He could be one of the bigger names traded at the deadline. He's going to be a big piece, and I can't wait to see what the Nets can get back, especially with this. If the trade market potentially can get dry with the new second apron and all this stuff, and not many superstar name level players being available, Cam Johnson could get you back something nice. Which is why I'm saying the Nets could be a gold mine, can get a gold mine. They got a couple second round picks for Dennis Schroeder. They potentially could get a first round pick for Cam Johnson. You also have Dorian Finney-Smith as another guy that potentially could be on the move. Another kind of veteran playoff wing that any team would like to have. He's shooting 44% from three this year, give you 11 points per game. Really good defensively. We know what Dorian Finney-Smith can give you, and some playoff teams would give up something for Dorian Finney-Smith. Even Cam Thomas could potentially be a move, or a name be on the move. Right now he's currently injured, but there are talks, him and the Nets couldn't get an extension done before the season started, and there are some talk that the Nets potentially could send him off and trade him because they don't really know what to gauge what his value is. I mean, we know he's a good player. This year he's giving you almost 25 points per game. We know he's a bucket getter, but really the big question is, how good is he? Like, what is Cam Thomas in this league? I don't think anybody knows yet, which is why the Nets are kind of hesitant and being like, do we pay him this much? But then again, is that overpaying for someone that we don't think is a key part, or like, how do we do this? So Cam Thomas potentially could be moved. I'm not really sold on him being moved at the deadline, but I think it's a name that could happen. Even Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is having a decent season. He's on the last year of his deal. He could be a guy that potentially could be moved if the right playoff team would be like, we think Ben Simmons can help our team, or a potential buyout guy. With the buyout market, if it gets dry, he could be a potential buyout candidate for another playoff team. So the Nets really are, I feel like, the team to watch at the deadline because they have so many players that can make so many big differences to different playoff teams. And they could walk away at this trade deadline looking very, very nice for the future. So I think the Brooklyn Nets are like the team to watch at the deadline. Another team that could be at the watch of the NBA trade deadline, the New Orleans Pelicans. They're currently sitting 5-22, worst team in the Western Conference. Things have been pretty bad this year for the Pelicans. I said it a couple times here on Twitter, all this stuff. Like, I think this might be the year. That should be the year, but leaning more towards it as I've seen the last like week. I feel like I'm moved personally more towards the Nets. The Pelicans. Sorry, should just tear it down, blow it up, restart this over because it just feels so like the last feels like 4 years we've been saying wait till they get healthy, just wait till they get healthy, wait till they get healthy, and we've been waiting, and it's not happening. And now it's kind of like the big blow up of everything, where now it's everything that we've seen the last 4 years on extreme mode, and it's just like how much longer are we gonna wait for this team to really get to where it be if it ever will. Who knows if it ever will. We'll get to see this actual team. So I think it might be time to blow it up. I think there's a report that came out yesterday that said that everybody, basically the Nets, the Pelicans, keep saying the Nets because I just talked about them, but the Pelicans could be listening to offers on everybody except for I think was Trey Murphy, Yves Missy, and Herb Jones. Everybody else could be on the market, which includes guys like Brandon Ingram, who was on the last year of his contract. We already know there's been so many rumors and all this stuff about what Brandon Ingram will like. What's going to happen? Is he going to sign an extension with the Pelicans? Is he going to get traded? Is he going to hit the open market and free agency? How much is he going to want? All this stuff. Bi definitely might be the best name on the block. At the trade deadline. If he is made super available, he's a guy that so far this year when he does play 22-5-5, he's actually been having a really good season before being hurt. Which is the thing you get with Bi. He's gonna miss a couple games. That's just what it is. But Brandon is still a really good wing player that can do a lot of different things. He's an all-star like talent, and so he could be a name on the deadline. CJ McCollum is a very, very intriguing name for me personally. He's giving you 21 points per game. He's been very good recently over the last 3 or 4 games. A veteran guard. You know, maybe could come off the bench, be a 6-man for a team that needs some scoring punch, some veteran leadership at the guard position. He could be something. His contract is going to be up very soon as well. So CJ McCollum, I feel like is a really good name at the trade deadline that could be a sneaky get. Any team that gets him, that the right team gets him, that could be a very nice move at the deadline. DeJounte Murray may be on the move again. He just has not been having a great year this year. And then maybe other guys, Zion Williamson. Maybe Zion Williamson. I'm not expecting a Zion Williamson trade, to be honest. At least at the trade deadline, the offseason could be a different question. I'm not expecting a Zion trade right now this season because right now, who's going to trade for Zion Williamson? We still have no idea if he's ever going to come back at all this season. And it's just too risky right now to mortgage everything right now for Zion. Now, in the offseason, if his asking price goes down, that's a whole different story. But right now, I just don't see a move happening at the trade deadline. Not saying it's impossible. Obviously, some team might do it. But I just don't think at the deadline this year, it'll be the right move to trade for him right now. But I do think he might be traded this offseason. I think that could be something. But the Pelicans could be a team to watch, man. Especially if they keep going down this trend where they're still around last in the Western Conference at about mid-January, end of January, and they're still like 14th, 15th, 7 games behind the play-in. They're really going to buy into, all right, you know what? Everybody go. Bi go, CJ, DeJounte, everybody go. Besides Herb, Missy, and who was the other guy? Trey Murphy. But honestly, Herb might be a name too. Herb Jones, playoff teams will give you something for Herb Jones. Herb Jones is like the perfect role player to have on any playoff team. How many teams will love to have a Herb Jones on their roster? So the Pelicans could get something nice for Herb Jones. He might have the most value out of everybody on their team, potentially. So the Pelicans, they're also a team to watch the deadline depending on how things go and who they actually would move. They have some really nice players over there that can help some teams. Next team we're talking about is the Chicago Bulls. They're another team that is no secret that they're leaning in towards being the young in the rebuild. This is kind of the year, the bridge year between all right, we're at the end of our competing, getting some of these older vets off our team, and now next year probably will be we're going into rebuild mode, depending on how they could trade certain players. But the Bulls have some names at the deadline. Zach LaVine obviously is a big name. He's been in trade talks for years at this point. Is it going to happen this deadline? I wouldn't bet on it. Even though he is having a solid year, 21-4-4 on really nice shooting efficiency, he's been there as well. He's played in 23 of the 26 games they've played. He looks solid, but the contract. Really, the only reason he's still a Bull is because of the contract. No one really wants to pay Zach LaVine $50-something million to be a third option, second option on the team, which is why he's still here. But maybe some team bites the bullet. Maybe some desperate team says, like a Laker team says, you know what? This has to be the move we have to make, But Nikola Vucevic, He's been playing amazing this year. 21, 9, and 3, shooting 58, 47, 85 shooting. He has been phenomenal this season. Also, while being on the, I think, last year of his deal, or second last year of his deal, he doesn't have a crazy contract, you know? He could be a name at the deadline to watch, especially with the way he's playing right now. His value has gone up, and the Bulls potentially maybe get a first round pick for him. We'll see. But a veteran center that is shooting the ball, that can shoot the ball, can space the floor, rebounds, like he could be a nice move for some teams. So Nikola Vucevic really playing up his trade value. I would be surprised if he's still on the Bulls past the deadline. And Alonzo Ball is the other name to see. Alonzo Ball coming back this year, 9 games. He's been solid, and there's been a lot of reports in the last couple of days saying that the Bulls are kind of, I think I saw a report earlier today saying the Bulls are going to be aggressively shopping Lonzo Ball, potentially. He's a guy that also can help playoff teams, high IQ guard that can defend well, shoot the three ball at a side clip, facilitate. We know what Lonzo Ball can do. He could definitely go to a playoff team and help a lot with their guard position. So Lonzo Ball definitely could be a name at the deadline. So the Bulls could be a team, Zach, maybe not, but Vucevic. Vucevic could be a big get at the trade deadline. The way he's playing right now, Lonzo Ball could help some teams out too. But Vucevic could look like a big deal at the deadline, especially with the way he's playing. The Bulls better sell now. The Bulls better sell right now, man, because, man, like this is the best we've seen Vucevic play in a very, very long time. Next team that could be a team to watch at the deadline, the Portland Trailblazers. Portland Trailblazers have a couple guys in this team that definitely could be moved. Jeremy Grant could be a big name at the deadline. He's got a big contract, but he's also a guy that a lot of playoff teams maybe could want, a versatile forward that can defend. Last time we saw him in a winning situation, he was defending. He was defending very well on the perimeter, especially. He can also block some shots and has turned into a really nice scorer. Shooter from 3, get into the mid range, all this stuff. He's not having a great season this year statistically. His numbers are kind of down. His shooting has been not great in terms of efficiency, but he's picked it up the last couple games. He's had some big games, so maybe they could turn up for the next few days. But Jeremy Grant could be a name at the deadline, especially with the Portland Trailblazers. Seeming like the young guys. It's fun watching the young guys play for Portland when they have a lineup out there of Denny, Shaden, Donovan McClain, Tamani Kamar, Delano Band, Scoot. Though that team is a lot more fun to watch. So the Portland definitely be a name. One of the hotter names that could be at the deadline too, Robert Williams. He is back, and so far in the 8 games he's played, he's looked pretty good. He's still 27 years old on a pretty friendly deal in terms of the new second apron and the trade things. So Robert Williams definitely could be a name as well. Any team that needs some more depth, a team like the Lakers could use some depth at the center position. Robert Williams could be a great name. We saw him in Boston, saw when he's healthy what he can do. He could be a loud threat, a really good shot blocker as well, decent little passer. He could be a very good big man to have on a good team. So Robert Williams definitely is going to be a hot name at the deadline. I've heard his name a lot. And then Anthony Simons, I put a question mark because maybe Anthony Simons can also be on the move too. I think this offseason there was a report that said Portland, Anthony Simons could be a thing too. He's up for money pretty soon. He's having a decent season, not as amazing as the last couple years has been, but it's still a really good season. He's a good scoring guard. Any team that needs some more scoring punch at the guard position definitely could use an Anthony Simons. Solid playmaker. Going to shoot the 3 ball a lot. Can have nights where he goes and gets you 31, 32 points. If you need him to. Anthony Simons could be a name at the deadline as well. That could be a sneaky one that not many people know about, but you make the move and it's like, oh shoot, they got Anthony Simons. That's a nice pickup, like that. I was gonna put DeAndre Ayton, but honestly, I think DeAndre Ayton's here to stay for the rest of the season. I just don't know what teams are really gonna go. Say we need DeAndre Ayton right now. Even though I would love to see it because Donovan Clingan is having a really good rookie year and he should get all the minutes, all the minutes that he can. Because when he's on the court there, Portland is just a better team. But I just don't see DeAndre Ayton being moved. But Jeremy Grant, definitely Robert Williams, and then Anthony Simons could be a sneaky name at the deadline as well. Portland could have some things too, where if they play this right, Portland future can be looking pretty decent. This is the last team we're gonna talk about in terms of selling. Is the Washington Wizards. They're bad. 3-21. Worst team in the league. Have some guys. Kyle Kuzma is the bigger name, even though Kyle Kuzma has not had a great season at all. His worst season in a little while since being in Washington. He's had a pretty not good year. A lot of teams are linked to him for the past couple years. I think now is the time to trade him for Washington. Honestly, it's past time really to trade him. But Washington has to get rid of him. I just don't think it's working out there anymore. I just want to see the young guys because honestly, selfishly, I want Bilal Coulibaly to be better. When Kyle Kuzma doesn't play, Bilal Coulibaly is really good. When Kyle Kuzma does play, Bilal Coulibaly doesn't play good. You know, and a lot of other teams don't play good. Kyle Kuzma takes a lot of shots, a lot of opportunity away from a lot of the young guys that they need to develop and need to be good. So I really want Kyle Kuzma off the Wizards and on a different team. What team gets him, I don't know. Again, he's not been playing really good this year. So if you get him, there's no guarantee that you're going to get that really good Kyle Kuzma for the last 2 or 3 years on this team, you know? But yeah, I just think that he needs to be off the team, man. I just really do. But then some other guys, Malcolm Brogdon, definitely a trade candidate. Obviously, at 32 years old, doesn't fit the Wizards' timeline. He's played in a couple games this year and he's been decent. Just a veteran guard, you know. Any team that gets him, it won't hurt. Just have another veteran guard, smart, high IQ point guard in the rotation. Malcolm Brogdon, I think that's really good. Jonas Valanciunas as well. You know, the Wizards signed Jonas to be a trade candidate for this moment. He's having a decent season, give you 12 and 7 on solid shooting. But I also did see a report the other day that Washington might keep him because they like how much he is as a locker room presence to the younger guys. A lot of the higher ups like how much of a professional he's being. I don't know how much I believe that, but they did sign him to trade him at this point to get something back for him and play up his value so that they can get something. I don't know how much you're going to get for Jonas Valanciunas, but maybe you can get a decent second round pick and two for him, maybe a decent little bench player that can be off the books next year, I guess. I even wanted to put Corey Kispert down because Corey Kispert, I think Corey Kispert's a really good player, and I feel like he's gonna be one of those guys that if he does get traded and go to a playoff team, he's gonna shine over there, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my god, who is this Corey Kispert guy? You know, who is this Corey Kispert dude that's so good at shooting all this stuff?" And it's like he's been this good. It's just he was in Washington, so no one cared. No one cared about who Corey Kispert was. He's in Washington, but I do believe that if he does get traded to a good team, a playoff team, he'll have some moments or have some good performances where it's like, man, Corey Kispert's actually a really good winning player. So I wanted to put his name down. He is injured right now, and I don't know who's going to trade for Corey Kispert, you know. But I do like Corey Kispert a lot, you know. So the Wizards, definitely, they're another team that could be making some moves at this deadline and selling some things. Now I want to transition into teams opposite of this, so teams that should be making the calls and making the moves to get better. First one is an obvious one, but the Golden State Warriors, they already made a move to go get Dennis Schroeder, but that is not enough for this team. Dennis Schroeder is not saving this season and saving this team. You know, definitely some more moves are going to need to be made for this team. They're currently 14 and 11. They've sitting in eighth in the West after being number one in the West not too long ago. They have been falling and falling and falling. Things need to be done. You know, moves need to be made. Are they going to get a superstar? I don't think so. Again, this trade market isn't as popping right now. At least you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And a star can ask out tomorrow. You know, all of a sudden things are different. But right now, this trade market isn't that crazy. So they're going to need to do the best with what they got. They do have some young pieces, Jonathan Kuminga, but they also did not want to give Jonathan Kuminga up to get Cam Johnson. So how are they willing to give up Jonathan Kuminga or Brandon Podziemski, or both are not having super impressive seasons when they're supposed to be kind of key factors in this Warriors team this year. Also got guys like Buddy Hield, Kyle Anderson, guys that are making solid money that they can match with the new second apron and stuff. But the Warriors desperately definitely need to move. This team is not going to be good enough to sustain and play against some of the top teams in the Western Conference when it comes to playoff time. You know, obviously they have Steph Curry, but after that, it's like, man, it's tough. So they're definitely a team that needs to be absolutely on the phone making a move. Another team, the Lakers. We say it every year, but the Lakers definitely do need to make a move. 14 and 12, they're sitting at 10th in the Western Conference. It's going to be really tough, but they also are going to have to make a move, you know, if they want to keep this LeBron AD window around. And it's just like, I don't know what moves to be made. The only moves I feel like they can make are really marginal moves. Maybe getting a Cam Johnson, but how much is Cam Johnson or anything like that really changing the season around? I don't know. I just don't think, unless they do bite the bullet and say, you know what, we're just going to go with Zach LaVine. Or we're just going to go with Brandon Ingram just to get another star in here and maybe you see what happens. Is that going to be the best for the future? I don't think so. Because you're going to have to give up your 2029, potentially 2031 picks. And those are from 5 years from now. LeBron's not going to be around 5 years from now. So unless you're banking on Brandon Ingram, Zach LaVine coming in, and them and AD being the stars of the future and those two leading to playoff appearances, I just don't know how much is really going to change things. You know, I did see a report, I think yesterday or the day before, saying they're going to go more after depth pieces, which is fine because they definitely need to upgrade for the depth. That could help. but I just don't know how much it's turning them into contenders. Obviously, when you have LeBron and AD, two of the maybe top 10, 15 players in the league, you're going to be good. And you're going to win some games, and you're going to maybe make a playoff appearance. But in terms of winning a championship, which is what this team's ultimate goal is, I just don't know if the moves are out there. So that's the Lakers. And then another team, the Indiana Pacers. I've talked about it a little bit with the Pacers, 12 and 15, eighth in the Eastern Conference. This is a team that was in the conference finals last year, and now they are multiple games below 500 and are struggling. They have got it together a little bit recently, the last week. Tyrese Halliburton is getting better, but I think the Pacers are definitely a team that might not be on the top list in terms of, everybody thinks they're going to make a move, but the Pacers are a sneaky team that kind of might need to make a big move. Maybe a Brandon Ingram, maybe a Jimmy Butler might be in the play for them because this is a team that has high expectations. Again, they're in the conference finals last year. They're a couple wins away from being in the finals potentially, even though, well, it was against the Celtics, so they no chance they're making the finals. But they're in the conference finals last year. They were one of the top Final Four teams in the league. With a young, up and coming guy in Tyrese Halliburton, a young team, and a really kind of after Boston, maybe an open-ish Eastern Conference to compete in. The Pacers have some high expectations, and so far they have not met any of those expectations set at all. They have made one move. They traded for Thomas Bryant because all their backup bigs apparently get hurt. Hopefully James Wiseman, Isaiah Jackson can have some, good recovery to be back. But they have to trade for Thomas Bryant, who did good in his first game. But let's be honest, Thomas Bryant isn't doing anything for this team. Pacers need a bigger move, and I just don't know if that move is out there. But they're definitely going to need to be on the phones and calling. Even if they don't make moves, they got to be on the phones because this is just not good enough. And then potentially some other teams. Obviously, you got teams like Cleveland, New York, Orlando, teams that could make marginal moves. I'm not expecting them to be active at the deadline and be in terms of we're gonna make all these moves. But I mean, definitely teams that are gonna be like, obviously playoff contending teams. You want to get as much as you could. So maybe they could be the teams that go get some marginal guys for ninth and eighth man rotations that could help. The Bucks could be another move, even though they're on the second apron. I'm not going to talk about Jimmy Butler. I made a whole video dedicated to Jimmy Butler. You can go watch it. So I'm not going to talk about Jimmy Butler and the Heat. But yeah, and then you got the 76ers. Definitely could be a team that needs to make some moves at 7 and 16. Things are bad. The Raptors could be a team selling. We already know that they don't want to win. So maybe guys like Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown, Jakob Poeltl, Chris Boucher, guys that can help out some playoff teams. I think that could be a good move. Obviously, teams like, the Mavericks, Nuggets, the Nuggets probably will need a move. I don't know if it's going to come because they're the second apron and they don't have a lot of contracts to move unless they're moving MPJ or like one of those guys. Phoenix, Minnesota. I mean, you could basically point to every playoff team and be like, they could make a move. There's no team that really, I mean, maybe except the Thunder. No team, or Boston, Thunder and Boston, that are like, we don't have to touch anything because we're good enough already. Every team obviously can make a move to get better, especially if it's a move that is going to make you better. You do it, obviously. But yeah, trade season is open. I'm very excited to see what moves happen, how active this deadline is going to be, especially with right now the lack of kind of star talent on the move or crazy talent. But there's still a lot of really good players that can be little marginal, wins. And it can be marginal moves that can help in the long term. So very interested to see. Obviously, we're going to keep locked in on it, keep our eyes on it, and see what happens. Let trade season begin. But yeah, it's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.